boys? What's up? We live.
Yes.
Welcome back. Welcome to the Tomorrow Show. Kevin Robinson, Donnie McGinnis, special guest Manti. Manti, welcome back, brother.
Thank you, brother.
It's been a minute. It's like old times, dude.
Yeah.
How you been?
I've been great, bro. You know, it's good to be here. We were joking around before we started this thing, saying that this is where it all started, with this group. Donnie, made this viral hat.
Yeah,
so we're trying to fix it right now, trying to make it go
viral again.
But it's always great, and I'm always grateful because of you guys and Jen and all. I know you guys have so many different things going on right now, but I'll never forget where it started. And so it's definitely like a family reunion, of thing. So,
dude, it is that way. We feel that too, man. That's special. That means a lot. That hits home. I know you and Donnie since then, man. You guys been best buds, man.
Dude, I had shoulder surgery like 3 months ago. It was all because of Manti's fault.
I'm saying.
Up in Sundance, go down a little cat track.
Yeah. Well, we were going snowboarding, and Donnie's a skier, and he was going, and they're flying, going on. I think you went down a Black Diamond that one,
dude.
With your father-in-law.
That one I fell, but when I hurt my shoulder, it
was a
when
kid.
That kid that cut me off.
Yeah, well, a kid cut me off earlier. Remember that?
And I saw you.
That was the story. Was earlier in the day, I was coming down, and a kid just cut me off, and I just face planted.
You ate it.
I ate it, bro, and I got up.
I saw Manti get it. I thought, holy smoke. I said, keep going. Don't stay. Just keep going. He'll eat you.
Yeah,
He can eat you.
I came up like pretty angry, and everybody was cracking up. And then on our last one down, Donnie goes off. See, I'm in the beginner phase. I'm just trying to step on my board.
Yeah.
But Donnie and them are going. Donnie and his father-in-law and Talanoa, they're going. And so I lose track of them. We finally get down to the bottom, and me and Hayden were down there, and all of a sudden we see poor old Donnie come out, holding his shoulder.
Oh.
And I didn't think it was that bad.
You guys AC joint.
I thought it was AC sprain.
Because I was like,
Yeah.
man, it hurts.
Yeah.
I'm a tough man.
You are tough.
I'll take some stuff.
No, you're
You know
not.
what I mean?
You are tough.
I'd hop in an octagon with Conor McGregor.
Oh yeah.
No.
No, he would.
I was
Yeah,
the
that's right.
biggest baby. I was like, I'm in so much pain.
And so me and Talanoa are telling our stories about when we had shoulder. I was like, you're good, bro. Like, don't sleep on it.
Put some dirt on it, man.
Yeah. It's like free.
And I was trying to act tough around. I'm like, I'm good.
But then we also had Hayden there. And so Hayden's like the magician when it comes to body and the body work and how the body, how to get it back right. So you're like, you're good. Hayden's in the office. You'll be fine. I think it was like 2 days later, bro. Donnie texted me. I broke it. I was like, yeah, Hayden ain't going to help you, bro.
No.
You gotta go
I ended
in.
up tearing my labrum.
Yeah.
And then my whole bicep was detached. That small bicep I have in there. It's
crazy,
Fully
man.
over, literally, not a crazy fall, which is the craziest thing.
So this is the game plan, okay? Going into this winter. If anybody cuts us off,
Oh, no doubt.
they're getting run over.
Hell to pay. Hell to pay.
I'm not going to avoid you. I am sorry.
Oh, no doubt.
I don't have the skill
I
to
can go
avoid you.
through you.
I will run through you.
Yo, that's gonna happen for one season. They're gonna ban kids from the slopes. Somebody gonna get hurt.
So funny.
I was gonna say, yo, brother, you looking yoked, man. When's the show? Show's tomorrow. You step on stage. When?
My wife had a show in October.
I heard that.
Yes, and she was, as a family, we made some adjustments and some pivots mentally in our life to be the best parents that we could be for our kids. We have 2 kids now, our daughter Hiromi, who's 2, and our son Cairo, who's 10 months, but he looks like he's 2 years old.
Yeah, I bet he does.
But when they came into this world, me and my wife looked at each other and we said, you know what, like, if we want everything that's great in this world for our kids, it has to start with us. And I was 295 as of New Year's last year.
Wow.
And my wife was she was getting birth in 2 weeks. And she said, when I get rid of this baby and I give birth to this baby, I'm going to go on doing a show. And I said,
Bounce back real quick.
Yeah, I was like, perfect.
Had she done a show before that?
Yeah, so
Okay,
she used to
okay.
compete before, and she was really good. She placed first overall twice.
Oh, wow.
That's awesome.
And so she has, you look at my wife, she has that genetic makeup where she could eat a whole box of pizza and still have abs. Me, one slice, it's gone.
Oh, dude, I'll jiggle for a week. I have one slice, I'll be jiggling for a week. Man.
You know,
Yeah,
and so
yeah,
it was a great start for us to say, you know what, this is the start of everything. And my goal was to get back down to my playing weight, and so I got me a coach. Shout out to Cuts. And my wife got her a coach, and it just so happened to be Cuts' wife. And so it was a big family thing. And,
That's awesome.
I got back down to 238, 237, which was where I played at.
Wow.
And it was all about being an example for our kids. You know, just doing hard things, being disciplined, really dedicating yourself to your craft. And we wanted to be that example to them. And so my wife had her show in October. She placed first in her class. She placed second overall after giving birth just 9-10 months earlier.
That's crazy.
You know, it's crazy. Like, she's a
And I will say, man, shout out to Jovi, because you see some of the things she's eating. She's eating freaking bear chicken at 5 a.m.
Yeah.
Like, there's something mentally wrong there.
Yeah.
That
Oh,
she
yeah,
has
yeah,
that
yeah.
drive.
Yeah.
Because me, I'm strict.
Bro.
I ain't that strict.
Let me tell you, boys.
Dedication to the
I
max.
told my wife, listen, this is the first time and the last time we're gonna do this, because shout out to all the people that do that stuff. Like, where it takes you mentally.
Oh,
I'm
Like,
sure.
she was on 30 grams of carbs a day, and she was eating chicken breast.
Super high protein, low carb.
Yeah, chicken
man.
breast and like sauteed spinach for breakfast at 5 in the morning.
Oh.
And then she would go on the treadmill for like an hour and a half, or like the stair stepper for an hour and a half, and then she would come home and she would just eat cod and spinach, cod and asparagus. And I'm like, but where it took her, like, I'm like, there's no way that a human can sustain that
forever.
for
Yeah.
that long.
Yeah.
See, that's it, man. It's like, can it become a lifestyle? I mean, you can
Yeah.
do it in stints, but can you eat
But I'll
like
say,
that the
dude,
rest of your life?
To be able to mentally do that, though,
Oh, incredible. Admirable.
awesome.
And
Like-
that is what we wanted, was to dip into the flames of hell.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And hell,
Yeah.
because hell is molding, bro. You know what I mean? And so we're constantly trying to find different ways to put ourselves in those dark places to get our minds used to being very uncomfortable, and then come out for a little bit, then tap into it
Tap
again.
back
Because I
in.
think you always have to do that in your life, where you put yourself in very, very tough situations where the voice to quit is very, very loud, and you keep fighting it. And
because
take
it's
a break.
always easy to quit,
It's
too.
always easy. But
Yep.
once the second part to that is, once you quit, you always find a reason to quit.
Oh,
Yeah.
It becomes a pattern.
It becomes a pattern. It's like, I quit before, I'm going to do it again. So that's one thing for me and my wife that I'm glad that, you know, in any endeavor, any venture, I always tell my wife, you finish what you start.
Yeah.
We're going to finish this race.
It's awesome.
And legit, food and exercise, no joke. I feel like that's one of the hardest commitments you could make. I mean, food's like it's a thing of joy nowadays for our especially here in the
It
United
makes
States.
you the most happiest human
we like
on
live-
planet Earth.
If you can master
like
food.
the month of December, Donnie is one happy
Oh, dude, I get sloppy.
because all I'm
get
eating,
sloppy.
cookies, cakes,
Oh.
like, it's just from November, Thanksgiving to end of Christmas. I'm just like, and then January 1, boom, back on it. You know what I mean?
In the month of December, one thing's certain: you can always find crumbs in my beer.
Yeah.
100%. Doesn't matter.
Hey,
I'm
that's
gonna
what
be
we're
eating.
family, brother. I'm right there with you, bro. Like, it is a great time to just be grateful, right? To be present in everything that you're doing. So that's why I text my coach and I messaged him and I said, hey, coach, I'm gonna take a break, you know,
Yeah.
because I want to be able to eat all of these things with my family and not
enjoy
feel
it.
guilty.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because there's a balance in this whole thing. You know,
Yeah.
I can't dwell there too long. I can't dwell in the fire too long, because then, you know, you'll get consumed by it. But there's a time and a place. And so, yeah, I'll be right there with you, boys. Have you ever had the chip cookie? The Biscoff?
Oh
bro?
my gosh, you're
100%.
Manti.
Bro,
I can eat a box of
I
4
was
of those
team-
all by
I
myself.
was Team Crumbl.
No,
Oh,
And then one weekend, Crumbl had a whole bunch of flavors. That was tripping. Crumbl had a whole bunch of flavors that I was like,
none of
and then they started switching out the milk chocolate chip, because usually, like, if all the flavors I don't like,
Milk
the flavors,
chocolate
at least
is great.
the milk chocolate chip,
Yeah, it's there for you.
It's there for me.
Yep.
Then they started to do this thing as of late where they switch it out. One week is the milk chocolate, the next one is a semi-sweet. I'm like, man, I don't like no semi-sweet chocolate chip cookies, bro. So it was this week where all the flavors, Garbaggio, and they had the semi-sweet. And I'm like, no, I ain't eating that. So then I went on my phone. I was like, chocolate chip cookies besides Crumbl near me. And I think Chip was ranked as far as stars, like right there with Crumbl. I'll go over there. I'll check out Chip. And I've heard about Chip before, so I'll go over there. So I went to the one in American Fork. And I look, I was like, I don't know which one to choose. Give me a dozen. And give me 2 of those, 2 of those, 2 of those. And I start just getting to, bro, the first one that I ate
Biscoff
was the Biscoff.
Oh.
And let me tell you, brother.
It'll put you down.
Put
you down.
It was like a baptism, bro.
Yeah.
I had just been converted.
Yeah.
And since then, bro, what was so funny was this was before my wife's show, right? Leading up to her show, like all her friends started sending her Crumbl gift cards. Crumbl. And so we have all of this credit in Crumbl gift cards. We're waiting until they drop some good flavors. So come on, Crumbl, drop some
Get
flavors.
on it.
But every weekend, we eat clean Monday through Saturday. We'll go over there and grab a dozen. It got to the point, bro, where we were grabbing 20 Biscoff cookies, bro. Because the one over there, it's not open on Sundays. We just go over there, get the cookie, take it home. 3 are gone by the time we get home.
Oh yeah.
I'm over there chomping. My wife is chomping. My little daughter, she's the cutest. When she sees it, she's like, "Okay." She knows the box.
Yeah.
When she sees the box, she's like, "Okay." And my wife would crawl back there, give her some biscuit. Bro,
That is so
That
funny.
is that's our treat. But
Dude, I'm telling you, Crumbl's been fooling us, man. I'll tell you one thing: they got the best branding on the planet. Best
my God.
marketing.
Hey, they just rebranded.
Yo, they did.
they got the C.
They just rebranded.
So they did just rebrand.
What's the rebranding?
So
They just changed up the word mark a little bit,
bit
all
of
of
a-
like their design, like
Yeah.
they took away all like I believe it was like a bunch of like doodles to more like a professional look.
That's what it
I
looks like.
briefly saw it, but
that pink box though, it's incredible, man.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna tell you, there are a bunch of other companies out there that make better cookies, but their marketing's on.
Yeah.
point.
Oh,
it's
and
on
they're
point.
blowing up, man.
Yeah.
They're everywhere.
Well,
they're
they
everywhere.
because on the app they changed the little app logo because it used to be that Crumbl.
yeah. It's just a C now.
It's just a C.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Smart of them. It's a good brand play.
Keep everybody on your toes,
Yeah,
us. I mean,
yeah.
you a dog,
Yeah, it's a good play.
See, that's
I
why
like
I follow
that
Don.
play.
Donnie.
They're doing the right thing.
That's what I'm saying, man. He knows about those cookies,
Yeah,
especially in December.
Yeah.
All right, brother, Manti. Yo, so you mentioned it last time we were with you. Dad was at that Gen event, and I think it was like literally a month or two after your documentary Untold on Netflix came out, The Girlfriend That Didn't Exist, and we were talking about that. And since then, brother, you've been everywhere. I feel like anytime I turn on the TV, anytime I look on my phone, it's like there's Manti, man. And yo, sporting that hat.
He's
is
on
the best.
Netflix,
I was
he's
gonna
on
say,
ESPN,
that's
he's on
the-
viral
Shouting
TikTok,
Donnie out
he's
of
on
McAfee.
everything.
Yeah,
Pat
yeah,
McAfee.
yeah.
Whole nine. So
Yeah.
it's like I see it, and I constantly see this theme, this resounding theme of like people want to talk about it. People want to
Yeah.
talk about that catfishing incident that happened back. I think it was right around that 2011-ish time frame.
Yeah.
What was it? 2011, 2012.
2000, yeah.
Right, and it's I hear it constantly. Don't get me wrong. I think the reason that everybody wants to talk about it is because one, the way that you handled it and how you came out of it and what you're doing now. I mean, brother, you talk about flames. I mean, you were molded. You were forged in flames going through that situation. So I think like everybody has life lessons they want to pull out, and there's genuine interest there. But dude, I know you're doing way great things right now, and I know that there are a lot of other talking points we can focus on and life lessons that you've achieved through other points in your career. So one, I wanted to start off. I wanted to ask you, how do you feel about always having to kind of talk about that? Is that something you're trying to move away from, or where are you at with that?
Well, it's something that I understand that that's kind of been the topic, right?
Yeah.
It's been the origin of this new kind of phoenix type of rising out of the ashes type of movement. But I love to show people what has come of it.
Yeah.
Because one thing that I talked about was something that the documentary missed. One thing that the documentary did miss, and a lot of pieces did miss, was it didn't show what's happening now.
Yeah.
Like it was almost as big of a story as it was, and that journey that I had to take of now what am I doing in my life that's trying to give value to other people, give value back to my my family, to my children. What am I doing as a dad? What am I doing as a husband, as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, as a friend? You know what I mean? And it's what's been amazing is that the topic that everybody wants to talk about is what made me this.
Yes.
Right? It's the refiner's fire that was created for me to be able to sit up here and to be able to speak from experience and not from a book that I read. You know, it's like this is what I had, this is what happened to me, and these are the lessons that I learned from it. And because of those things, I am now able and capable to do this or X, Y, Z, A, B, C, you know. And so it's always nice when I get to have conversations with individuals where I get to build upon that. You know, and I understand that it's always going to be a part of my story because it is a big part of my story. Now, for me, my challenge is to build something so grand and so beautiful, and now you want to talk about that.
All
For sure.
You know what I mean? And so
It's just a healthy balance of like not washing out the story, but when it's necessary, bringing it up. And, you know, the documentary is unbelievable. Yeah. They did a great job, you know, portraying that. And I mean, I've seen it twice now and I loved it, but there's a time and a place for that stuff. You know what I mean?
And for the listeners, if you haven't seen it and you want to know that story, Untold, The Girlfriend That Didn't Exist, Manti's in it. I mean, they break it down beautifully, but yo, that's kind of what we want to talk about. So for me, you know, we've gotten to know you now over the last year, and you know, like I said, you and Don, y'all are pen pals, man. You guys keep in touch. But dude, what I'm more interested in, a lot of the things I don't know is like, well, one, I have genuine interest about some of the experiences you had at Notre Dame. I have some genuine experiences.
Go Trojans.
About what you about what happened in the NFL, and dude, I think there's a ton of life lessons to pull out of what what you experienced in that era as well, into what you're doing now. And so I kind of think one of the things I wanted to have resonate is just the concept of peaks and valleys, right?
I love it.
And it's like you as an athlete, you worked your entire life to culminate to being this star athlete, get to the highest level, get to the NFL, and do these things. And I think all too often we all set out with a trajectory. You're a God-given talent to be an athlete. I mean, Donnie and I don't have it. Donnie's got more. Yeah, Donnie got a chance. Donnie got a chance. He can still get
he
the
would
league.
have been more if he was an Irish, but
that's I agree with that.
I'll say one thing.
I agree with that.
I am the only person. Notre Dame fans are going to kill Manti for this. He put "Fight On" a Notre Dame jersey for me.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. I bugged Manti. I said, I have to do. I need you to just put "Fight On." Go Trojans. Because at true heart, Manti's a huge Trojans fan. He wouldn't even do it for Troy Polamalu.
No doubt. I have no doubt.
Right, I guess I'll let him pass this
Man, don't work
but
that
maybe
way.
one day before we hit the grave.
Man, don't work that way. But no, what I was saying is this. I mean, I think all of us in our own individual worlds, we have, we set off with a dream, or we set off with a journey, right? And we're like trying to aspire to something. And all too often, sometimes we get there and it's great. Maybe it's not what we expected. Yeah. Sometimes we'd never get there and we lose hope, faith. We don't know how to recalibrate and start on another journey. One of the things that I love about you is you've been tremendously successful, but through tons of trial and tribulation, right? And you've had several peaks that you've been climbing and several valleys. And so look, I guess let's try to bring that all around to kind of what you're doing now. But first of all, dude, give us just a peek about, like, when you were at Notre Dame, so you're number one player in the country, runner up for the Heisman Trophy. Dude, what was that experience like playing at Notre Dame? What's it like?
Yeah, it's the most masculine, confident feeling that you could have personally. I made an analogy to the Gladiator movie, but I was watching this other movie recently, and I was like, you know what? That's exactly what it's like. And that movie was Troy.
Yes.
And specifically, there's a scene where, the two armies come, and the one Greek army brings out this big old dude, right? And everybody's confident, and then I think it's Agamemnon.
Yeah, that sounds
He
right.
calls for Achilles.
Yeah.
And where's Achilles? Like, Achilles is doing his own thing. But there's two parts to that scene. One, it goes back to Achilles is getting ready, and there's a kid that says, they're saying that this is the biggest man that they have ever seen, like, kind of like a Goliath type of thing, right? And Achilles looks back at the kid and he says, "That's why nobody will remember your name." And it's this level of glory and this level of just dominance where not only do you know you're the best, but everybody around you respects and has acknowledged that you're that guy to lead us. You're our leader.
Dude. You're
that dude.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like kids nowadays, it's like, oh, I'm him. Like,
Yep.
I was able to experience that feeling while at Notre Dame.
And man, they still do.
Yeah.
I mean, I was just there at the USC Notre Dame game. We won't talk about the score of that game, but all the clips on the big screen.
Oh, dude.
I see Manti taking video. I'm like, I know that dude.
That's my friend.
He's my
All right,
friend.
all right,
But they still, man, Notre Dame they just love, man. And you're still him over there. You know what I mean? Which is so awesome because he set a legacy.
Well, I'm saying you've got to be top 2, top 3 players that anybody would ever talk about in Notre Dame history, right? I mean,
I know, and you don't need to say that. You know, like, we know that, right?
No,
you don't have to say, yeah, I'm top 3. We know that. Like, 100%.
So I would imagine, like, every time you go back there, it's got to be red carpet.
Yeah.
It's still got to be.
I'll say
it's
I would never live there.
Yeah,
Not a
it's
chance.
a difficult place to live. I mean,
I love that place.
Are you a USC
It's
fan?
cool. It's just not even because of USC. Like
it's
just
in the middle of
different.
nowhere.
It's a college
right?
town.
It's a college town. It's the winters are they're really hard.
I mean, I wasn't even there in winter. It was cold.
Yeah.
So it gets negative, right? But it's not necessarily the temperature.
It's like a wet.
It's always gloomy.
Yeah.
Like you have the lake effect. And I remember my freshman year, one of my first days there at Notre Dame, they took me to the health center, and they showed me, oh, this is the sunroom. To give people context, I'm from Hawaii. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A sunroom.
Every room's a sunroom.
What do you need a sunroom for?
That became your best friend.
Yeah. Well, I didn't go there, but I get it. Like, it's hard to be in a place where it's negative 15.
Oh yeah.
And it's gloomy out. And when I say it's gloomy out, bro, it's gloomy every day, at least
Like
for
England.
2,
Like
3
England.
months.
Oh,
so that's why it's difficult.
Yeah.
My time there, I've grown to love that place because of the family feel that's there. Like the Midwest people are lovely people.
Yeah.
Like, they're family first people, and that is what I really, really miss about that place, where it's life is slower there. You know, here in Utah, it's not as fast as, like, say, in New York or in LA, but it's still like
and it's getting faster.
Yeah, it's
too.
getting
Yeah,
faster. With the tech companies, like, people are getting faster. Sometimes, me being an island boy, I love to be in a place where people just
Sit back
be.
and relax.
You know what I mean? Just sit and be.
No,
I mean, Manti, so I got a question, man. So you're this number 1 recruit. You're runner-up Heisman. What was going through your mind when they called Johnny's name to win the Heisman? In that moment in time, were you like, man, I'm second best? What went through your head in that moment?
Honestly, what went through my head was I didn't get another one for my family.
Gotcha.
Because, so, before we got there, we stopped off in North Carolina, and that's where we won either the Lombardi or the Nagurski. And then we flew to Houston, and we won the Lombardi or the Nagurski. Then we went to Florida, and this is all within days.
Same time
Yeah,
frame.
So we started in North Carolina, won the one over there in North Carolina, flew immediately to Houston, won I believe it was the Lombardi there. Then we flew to Florida, and that's where I found out that I won the Butkus, Walter Camp,
Amazing awards, man.
Maxwell.
No, like,
Got a ton.
unbelievable.
Yeah, so by then, Butkus, Walter Camp, Maxwell, 5, and then we went to New York for the Heisman, and so, you know, we were racking up some awards, you know, to that point, and it was just, again, like, I had my parents there with me, and it was just all about representing them.
Yeah.
You know,
The
representing
Te'o name.
the state of Hawaii, representing Notre Dame, and so I literally looked at it not even in a in an individual way. You know, it's like, man, the more that I can accomplish, the more that I can win, the more honor I can bring to my parents, my family. And I knew that back home in La Ia, they were having like this big old celebration, you know what I'm saying? I was like, man, I just want to win it for them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that they can see like one of their own got it, you know, and to be able to represent my team, to say that their captain won it. You know what I mean? Just like, that's what I really was concerned about. So when they said Johnny, like, I really wasn't that bummed because I was like, man, I wish I would have got it for them.
For sure.
But then Johnny also had a magical year. And, you know, Johnny had his documentary come out recently too. So, you know, it's just to see all of that and to be able to represent my family, my state, my school, the way that I was able to, it definitely was a blessing.
So now, where we're at now, right? So, I mean, obviously, we're a door-to-door company. We have tons of reps. They're going through heartache all the time, getting doors slammed on them, getting lots of no's to get a close. Now looking back on that experience, though, I know you weren't like, man, I suck. You were more like, I'm bummed I didn't do it for my family. Do you look back at that experience there and be like, man, I grew so much from that experience because I didn't win that, but I had these all these other awards, and those were my wins for my family?
Yeah.
Do you look back and say, that molded me into a better person?
Mm-hmm. You know, it's funny you asked that, Donnie, because I'm actually going to spin it a little bit, because I actually was and the documentary kind of covered this a little bit. I was actually in a different mental space as well.
For sure.
Because 2 nights before I got that phone call.
Yeah. That's right.
So there's a lot of different things at that time.
A lot of emotions going on.
Yeah, so it was funny that the kid that received all of those awards in North Carolina, in Houston, and then in Florida, because it was after I received those awards in Florida, when I'm about to go to sleep in my hotel room, that I got that call. He's a different cat.
Wow.
Than from that moment to the moment
48 hours
in New York.
Yeah,
way different.
Yeah.
That same wait at the awards, there are different thoughts that are going through my head than the kid that was waiting in North Carolina, Houston, and in Florida.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it was just like I was trying to be as present as I could, but
you weren't.
But I wasn't.
Yeah.
You know, it's almost like an out of body experience of like, man, you're at the Heisman. You know what I mean? Like, you could win this thing.
Yeah.
I didn't have a speech prepared. You know, so I was like, I was just gonna go up there and say thank you, and you know, and all of that stuff. So every time I see a Heisman win and he pulls out a paper, I'm like, oh, that's.
That dude, no,
that dude kind of knew, you know what I mean?
Yeah, for
you know,
sure.
But you know, going
You
back
dodged
to
the bullet.
Yeah, but going back to it, I was in a total different mental space.
Makes sense.
You know, I was hoping that I was going to win it, but then I also was battling a whole different war internally of like, okay, what do I do with the information that I just got? You know, and so that's kind of, you know, to answer your question, brother. That's why I said I was going to spin it a little bit, that I was in a totally different mental space. Like, I was there, but I wasn't there.
Yeah.
And then, dude, it kind of continued, right? So it's like, there you are, because you just mentioned, it's like you're absolutely top of the hill, right? Like, you're the best, if not one of the best, if not the best ever player that ever come out of Notre Dame, right? And you've got accolade after accolade. You get this phone call, and then life starts to get weird for you, right? And so it's like, I think the year before we were talking maybe top 10 pick in the first round, or you know.
The year before I was a late first round pick.
Late first round pick.
But then my senior year came, and it was top 5.
Top 5,
Yes,
yeah, I remember that.
And so that was still
Yes.
top 5. And even at that moment, top five. And then January came, and then
the whole story.
The national championship happened, and you know, my performance wasn't where it should have been.
Right.
And then the story on Deadspin leaks like a week or 2 weeks after that. And so it's just like,
Boom,
Just
boom,
boom, just
all
haymaker
rolling.
after
Yeah,
haymaker
yeah.
after haymaker, you know what I mean? And so that was the shift. It wasn't a shift in moments. It was a shift in what was happening internally for me, you know what I mean?
So what was year one in the NFL like? I mean, again, we're talking about a pretty massive amount of changes that happened in like that 6 month period of time. Again, top of the mountain. And then here you are in the NFL, and it's like all of this stuff has kind of come to a head. And
Yeah.
here you are, you got to go out and perform. You know,
Yeah.
you got to perform for the Chargers. So,
Yeah.
what was year one like?
Bro, it was hell. I'm not even gonna.
So it wasn't all bells and whistles. Like, yeah, I got money now. I got jet. I can do this, that.
It wasn't what it could have been.
Yeah.
Because I did have the money. I was able to buy my parents some things. You know, I was able to. I was in the NFL. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
right,
Like
for sure,
it was
right.
where I always wanted to be. You know,
made it, for
I
sure.
made it. You know what I mean? I was there. I was on an NFL team. I was a starting middle linebacker.
Yep.
I was outside.
You're
It was-
still that dude. You're the
yeah,
dude.
outside, what was happening outside, the events that were happening outside was everything that you'd want it to be. But what was happening internally,
Was just eating.
it was hell.
Ugh.
And because of that, I couldn't digest stuff that was happening outside. All of the great things, the things that come with, you know, being an NFL player. I couldn't digest it because I was already full. I was maxed out because of what I was doing, you know, what I was going through.
100%.
And I remember it all started, like the anxiety, all started my first practice, and we're out at 7-on-7, and Phillip Rivers, them come out. You know, I got Antonio Gates here, you know, I got Malcolm Floyd over here, like we're all over there. And I just did not want to be there. And I'm like, what the heck is going on? Like, it was just a level of nervousness that I've never felt prior to that, you know? So it was like, okay, now this is new, uncharted territory for me.
Yeah.
Confidence, gone.
Didn't want to be there because you felt unprepared. You mentioned anxiety. You felt anxious. Didn't want to be there. Why were you disengaged?
It was because of the anxiousness. It was the anxiety of like
Of everything that has
like you
kind of
just wanted to
tumbled
run.
in.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
like it wasn't that I was just I wasn't excited to be there. I just wanted to run and hide. You know, and it was just like, bro, like the voices that were screaming in my head every single play of, don't miss. You're gonna miss them. You're too wide. Are you sure you're supposed to stand in here? Are you sure that this is the gap? Are you sure you're supposed to blitz that? And then it was funny because Eric Weddle, in my opinion, should be in the Hall of Fame.
Oh, he's a dude, man.
But one of Eric's expertise and his gifts was his knowledge of the game, where he would bluff places, right? Like, he's supposed to be in a deep third. He would come up like a Troy Polamalu type. He would come up to the line of scrimmage. And me, where I was at, I was just trying to get things right for myself.
Yeah.
And so even when I would get it right, I'd still question, like, are you sure? There was this one time where Eric, we're in a game. We're playing the Miami Dolphins. And I'm supposed to be the edge rusher. And our coach loved to, you know, hey, don't just line up in it. But where I was at mentally, I was like, I'm lining up in it because I can't just bluff. Like, I'm not even sure if what I'm supposed to do is what I'm supposed to do.
Right.
So if I know that I'm supposed to be an edge rusher, I'm going to line up on the edge on the line of scrimmage and rush. I'm not even going to bluff it. So I'm on the edge of the line of scrimmage, and I'm coming. And all of a sudden, I feel a presence outside of me. And it's Eric. And I look at Eric, and I'm like, big bro. Am I the edge rusher? Like, I'm already questioning myself.
Now he's got you really
the leader
yeah.
looking at me, like, and he's standing right next to me. I'm like, Eric, am I supposed to? Are you the edge rusher? And he's trying not to have this dialogue because the offense can hear him.
Yeah.
And so he's looking at me. He's like, no, I'm the edge rusher. And I'm like, oh crap. So like, I'm start to panic even more. And this is in the middle of a game.
I can't imagine,
And
man.
then all of
I
a
can't
sudden,
imagine.
I remember the quarterback snaps the ball. I think it was Tannehill. He snaps the ball, and I start to bail. Like, I'm not even going to rush. And Eric bails to the deep third. And as he's bailing, he's like, rush Tizzo. Like, he would call me Tizzo.
Yeah.
He's like, rush Tizzo. And I'm like, oh, crap. So that's where my first year was at. It was literally just trying to.
You were just
He's trying to
mentally,
survive, man.
man. You were just
it was survival.
Yeah,
Trying to
survival.
It literally was. I was just trying to survive, and I missed the most tackles in my entire career. My first 2 years. I remember I think it was my first or my second year. We were playing the Cleveland Browns at home in San Diego, and one thing about me is like my instincts were always the thing that I relied on, you know, through film study, through playing the game for so long. I knew when people would run screens. I knew it. Like, just their mannerisms. I knew based on my film study, this is the formation you like to do it. This is the place on the field you like to do it. That's the running back that you like to do it with. And I just knew it. I for some reason, I just always had that sixth sense about it. Anyway, we're playing the Cleveland Browns. It's a screen. I sniff it out. I'm about to hit this running back before he even catches the ball. That's how fast I sniffed it out. I hit him as he's catching the ball, but right before I hit him, that voice in my head just says, "Don't miss!" And I freeze. And bro, the guy's back was to me. That's how I was on this dude on the screen.
Yeah.
The guy's back was to me. I freeze. I wrap the guy up, and I slip off. He runs like 20 yards, like first up. Yeah. That was like, I was like, dog.
Hey, Kevin was jumping up and down. He's a big Browns fan.
Yeah, so, but that's where
that's crazy.
That's where I was, you know, like it was just a shell of a man. You know what I mean? That like how we talked about the Troy thing, like I wasn't Achilles in Troy at that time, bro. I wasn't even in the army, bro. You know what I mean?
There was something messing with you mentally.
I mean, isn't that just it that happened? I feel like I could resonate. I feel like it relates to almost everybody. So we got that inner voice telling us like, no, man, stay comfortable, still where you're at. Pause, hesitate. Yeah. You know, are you sure you're there? Caused you to flinch, man. Let me ask you this. How did you overcome that, brother? Because you stayed in the league for what, 8 years, 7 years, 8 years?
Yeah.
So you stayed in the league for 8 years. That's year 1 and 2. You made it through your rookie contract. I know you got picked up by the Saints. I think you did some time with the Bears as well. Yep. So, and I want to say for the Saints, what was it, 2017? I think you led the team in tackles for loss or something like that. I mean, you had balled. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like that was the time. It was like everything came together. So you hurdled something, man. Talk to us about that transition. How'd you overcome that?
Well, the transition wouldn't happen if I would have quit.
Yeah,
no, and that's
because that's the easy thing to do.
That's the easy thing to do, and that's the thing that's always yelling at you. Yeah, it's quit. It's too hard. It's too heavy. It's too tough. It's too difficult. You're never going to do it. Quit. But my dad had always taught me: you start something, you finish it. You start something, you finish it. You start something, you finish it. And I remember it goes back to my freshman year. My uncle was a track coach at our high school, and he brought me to play track. And I thought I was fast until I ran track, and then I was last. And I remember I told my dad, I was like, I don't want to run track anymore. And this was in the middle of the season. And he said, why don't you want to run track? I was like, because I can't stand coming in last. And it's like, how I'm physically built, like I'm not going to beat these dudes. And my dad said, well, you're going to have to figure it out because you're not going to quit.
Oh, yeah.
That translated in my life of, okay, no matter what it is, no matter how difficult the task is, just keep going, bro, you know? And so that journey and that transition wouldn't have happened if I would have just quit or listened to that yelling voice in my head. 2 was to take on a spiritual aspect and to go back to my spiritual roots of understanding as a follower of Christ and a believer in Christ, okay, what would Jesus do in these situations? And that's where my story of forgiveness comes out, not only for the person who did it to me, but for myself. And the growth that was able to, and the healing, more importantly, that was able to give me. And then surrounding myself with people who I could trust, surrounding myself with people who I knew really had my best interest in mind. And that was one of the things that was beautiful about what happened in 2013, because the Achilles Manti had a lot of people cheering him on, had a lot of people blowing smoke up his rear end. But then when 2013 happened and the catfishing news came out, they was all gone.
Yeah, man.
And so the beautiful part about all of that was I was able to see firsthand who truly supported me and who truly was there for me. And so through a whole bunch of things, I was able to get through those tough, rough years, having patience, showing a little bit of grace, working on myself. And that was the testimony that I was able to build was, you know, there's no game, no war that you can fight that is going to be more important than the war and the game that you play within yourself. Like if you can master that game, if you can win that daily war with yourself, what happens externally will represent that. Yeah. What happens externally is just a result of you conquering you. And so that's what I was able to do. That was the transition and the cycle that I was able to make. And then when I went to the Saints, again, externally, my play represented that. Like I was able to play the brand of football that I always wanted to play, to the point where my second year with the Saints, when we went back to LA to have a joint practice with the Chargers, the GM, Tom Telesco, for the Chargers, I have a great relationship with him. He was the GM that drafted me back in San Diego. He came up to me and he told me, man, I'm so proud of you. He's like, I am so proud of you. And I told Mr. Telesco, I was like, Tom, I am so sorry. And he was like, for what? I was like, I am so sorry I couldn't be that player for you. Because I know if I would have been able to be that player for you, one, I'd probably still be a San Diego Charger, or at least now LA Charger. Because of the caliber of player that I knew I could be, but I just wasn't able to. And so it was that recognition from him, somebody who knew my story, somebody who still believed in me to go out there and draft me. And then I wasn't able to produce for him. And then for him to come back after seeing somebody who he believed in go somewhere else and perform, him to say, hey, I'm proud of you. You know, I'm like, man, that meant a lot to me.
That's awesome, because I mean, we've said it multiple times in this podcast here, saying the easy thing to do is quit. In anything we do, whether it is in family, business, whatever, personal, like, it's so easy to be like, I'm done. Like, I don't want to do it anymore. And to have that mindset of keep going. And not only that, have the mindset of, I'm going to forgive myself with everything that I've just done in the past year, 2 years, 3 months, whatever it is, and to move on from that. Those are two tremendous things to do. Because, Manti, I'll be completely honest, there are so many people, I'm sure, out there today with different stories than you, where it's easy of, I'm going to do drugs now because of this. Or I'm going to quit my job and because of this. Or I'm going to cheat on my wife, or I'm going to do this or that. It's so easy to do that because you're already putting yourself down into the trenches. So, dude, awesome of you to be even able to do that, because those are two hard things to do.
Well, I think, what was great was about, talking about that journey that I made. I went through a really in-depth journey with meditation, prayer. Man, I remember, in New Orleans, I went to go see this lady who, a Christian lady. She believed in, I forget what she calls it, but she was amazing. She was talented. Like, she had these crystals, Himalayan salt. She was one of those that she could be able to tap in. And the work that she and I were able to do to kind of reprogram certain traumas in my life, it was just life altering. And when I mean forgiveness, it wasn't just forgiving myself, right? It was more importantly understanding that for each of us, for us men, we have a little boy always in ourselves. There's that little boy that just wants to run out there in the snow and have a good time. He's the person, that voice in there that wants to wave to everybody and say, hey, have a good day. You know what I mean? Just like how I see it in my kids. Like, my daughter says bye to anybody. She's like, bye. She'll blow kisses to everybody. That's we all have that little boy or girl inside of us, right? But what happens is, as we grow up, we tell that little boy or that little girl, you can't do that. You can't be that nice. You can't trust that person. And what happened is, in my life, is because of decisions that I made, or decisions that others made that affected me, that I made that little boy quiet. And so when I talk about forgiveness, is telling that little boy that it's okay, bro. Like, it's okay to be kind. It's okay to be loving in a space that tells you not to be loving. It's okay to go up to your friend Donnie and say, Donnie, I love you, brother. Like, and Donnie knows this. I love you, bro. And my, people in the beginning was like, man, you tell people you, because I do. It's that little boy in me that I want you to know that I love you. I want you to know that I appreciate you. I want you to know that you are cared for by me. And so that journey of forgiveness extended to those realms as well, of understanding that, I have to forgive myself, my adult self, for the things that happened to me, the things that I let affect me. But just as important, I had to tell that little boy inside of me that it's not your fault. That I want you to still blossom and bloom and be that ray of sunshine in very, very cloudy spaces, you know. And so that was what helped me.
That's cool.
Dude, we got to unpack that one of these days, man. I want to hear more about that because, I mean, the mind it's a weapon, right, for good or for worse. You know, when it's on point, it's as sharp as a tack for you, and you can do anything you want. You can come out of slumps, and you can start to achieve and do whatever it is that you see fit. But conversely, man, when you're inside your head, it's crippling. It's paralyzing. You know, it's not as if year 1, year 2 in the NFL, it's not as if your legs didn't work anymore. It's not like you couldn't go in there and bench press a bulldozer anytime you wanted. I mean, you're still that dude, right? But it's like in between the years, if that's not right, your limbs are dead. Everything else is just, it doesn't function. And dude, I think that brings us to a good point. So you found your way. You came into the Saints. You crushed it with these guys in 2017. Like, you had that pinnacle year in your career. You would climb that mountain. You're now at year 7, year 8 or ish in the league. What are you doing now, brother? So you know, football's in the past. Well, actually, before we get to that, let me ask you a question, man. Do you miss it?
The game?
Do you miss playing football?
I mean, we lined up outside before this, and I went right through Manti.
You know,
He said, "I'm done."
That's why he was lipping when he came in.
I'm kidding.
Yeah.
I do. I miss playing the game. I miss that chess match that is out there, that is only afforded to me as a middle linebacker and the quarterback, the two generals, right? It's like, this is my army, this is yours.
Yeah.
And we're about to go head to head. I miss the camaraderie. I miss there's nothing better from a team's perspective than those plane rides after a win.
No, I bet.
I mean, that's so cool. On the plane, like enjoying things. Like, that's where, like, when the airlines come on and say, turn your phone on this, because I'm like, bro, our chartered flights, bro, like, everybody's phone was on, you know what I mean? Like, everybody's seatbelt was off, you know, people was walking up and down the aisles, you know what I mean, visiting, you know, and it was just, those were those moments, like, that really meant the most to me, right? That the playing Mario Kart or Smash Bros with my teammates, you know, after practices, the training camps were tough, but then the excursions that we would take as a team, like, those things is the brotherhood.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of places, I don't think there's any place other than like the military or any other sports team that can mimic that. You know, like the relationship that I have with my wife and the relationship that I have with my kids is very, very special, but it's not that.
Yeah, it's different.
You know, it's special in its own way, as was my relationships that I had with my teammates and my coaches, and just eating Drago's, you know, oysters in New Orleans. You know what I mean? Just being in that environment, bro. I definitely do miss all of those aspects. I do not miss the long hours. I don't miss the politics of football. I don't missing the birthdays, the graduations, the weddings,
family parties.
You know, that is what is difficult. But in order to be great at anything, you must be willing to sacrifice
all day, 100%.
You know, and so that is what
a
thing for me and my wife and my children, and for anybody that talks to me and asks me for advice. I was like, you have to be willing to suffer. You know, it's not enough to just do what you love. It's not enough to say, man, I want to be this because I want to go to the Super Bowl. I want to be this because I want to go to the NFL. That's not, life is going to hit you in the face, and if that's your only reasons, you're going to quit.
Yeah.
And the most important thing is you not quit. So do things that you're willing to suffer the most for, because you won't quit at it. And if you don't like it at the end of the day, because you finished that race, because you finished that journey, who you've become is the thing that you're going to be the most proud of. And now you can take that product and put it in any walk of life, and he'll be successful. He or she will be successful. But you must be willing to suffer. And football was that thing for me until my daughter came. And when my daughter came, I was like, I ain't willing to be gone half the year.
Yeah, man.
I ain't willing to be at the facility
even if
from
she
6 to 9.
Even if she keeps you up all night.
Yeah, you know.
Or you want to throw her through that door.
Go in the other room, man.
Or
Puts it into
you're
perspective,
pretending like you're still asleep when she's crying in the other room. Jovi,
Yeah,
you gotta go.
Yeah.
Puts it into perspective though. When I hear you say that, because you say you miss it, right? And again, I was trying to say before, all of us as individuals, we set out with certain objectives, certain objectives, certain goals to achieve, and sometimes when we hit them, we don't know what to do, and sometimes we fall short of them. We don't know what to do, how to recalibrate, how to find out what's next, and I think that's the most beautiful part of your story, brother, is because man, you've had a multitude of successes, but you went through hell along the way.
Yep.
But it's like, here you are, man, heart beating in your chest stronger than ever, and you're out doing phenomenal things. So, dude, before we wrap, what's going on in your life right now? Who's your target market? What's your message? What are we preaching these days? I mean, I know I hear you talk a lot about your belief system and your faith, your family, your daughters, your daughter, your boy, and your wife. But what's on the agenda right now? What are we doing?
Man, there's a lot of things on the menu. There's a lot of things on the stove that's brewing right now. One of them is to be able to impact people in a personal way. I have a buddy of mine who wants to start like a coaching thing, and I told him I ain't trying to be like everybody. If I want to do this thing, I'm gonna be like a Tony Robbins.
Yeah, man.
Because I want to be able to. I don't want to be somebody where people pay me to make them feel good and that's it. I want to give you value. I want to make you feel superhuman, because that's the only way that for me personally I can affect this world. I can't do it by myself.
Yeah.
But if I can have a group of people that I can make you feel superhuman, and I can make you feel like you can do great things in this world for good, and then you go out and you do, that's how I can multiply and just do as much good as I can. So that is one thing that's brewing, and I definitely would love to pick your guys' brain about that. Just how can I become the best at that? The second thing is to get in the private equity world, because I want to be able to give my kids and my wife the life and the experiences I always wanted to give them. I am a firm believer in exposure. I'm a firm believer that you can take any kid in any situation who has the grandest dreams, and if I can take that kid and put him somewhere where he can see those dreams, like it's one thing for a kid to say, man, I want to make it to the NFL one day, and it's another thing for taking that kid and taking him to an NFL game for him to see it. Yeah. Now it's become a goal. Yep. Now he's like, man, I know what it looks like. I've been there. I've smelt it. I've touched it. I know the feeling, the adrenaline. I can do that. I'm a firm believer at being able to take people to experience their goals, to see it at a young age, and for them to dream it and shoot it. Now they have something to shoot at. They can picture it in their head, because that happened for me. And I want that to be for my kids. I want to give them those experiences. I want to travel the world with them so that they're always grateful, because there are places in this world that don't have the things we have. There's places in this world where those planes that fly across our skies, you see all of those airplanes, and we have the military base right over there. You see those jets that fly. There's places in this world where that's the last thing those kids hear. Yeah. That they ain't thinking, oh, that's cool. That nighttime I'll go with my daughter sometime, oh, look, the airplane, honey. There's places in this world where that's the last thing that they hear, or that's the last thing they want to hear. And there's beauty in traveling and seeing different places where my kids will be appreciative of the life that they have, and be able to see other children and want to help. And so there's a lot of goals that we have to be able to travel. I want to do it on a jet.
He told me he's taking me with him.
Yeah, that's right. I told Donnie his unborn son, if he may, I'm already going to talk to Notre Dame about him. Manti is a good name as well. That's true. It's just being able to do things on the biggest scale, and that's how I've always operated. Is if I'm going to do it, I'm going to be the best at it. Because there's no such thing as being a participant in the Te'o family. Like you're going to be the best. If you want to be, I don't care what it is. If you want to be a garbage man, I really don't care. Be the best at it. Yep. There's a clip of this kid he was making popcorn, and he was like doing moves with it and like flipping it in the air and like doing some butter. And I was like, see right there, he's affecting somebody's life. he's making that experience something
amazing
for a kid that wants some popcorn. And he's saying, the kid is saying this, oh, that is so cool. Why? Because he loves what he does.
Yeah.
And that is my thing. Is like, son, my kids are like, I don't need you to be a doctor, lawyer.
Sure.
I don't need you. I need you to do something that you love and that you are going to do that's worth suffering the most for, because I want you to be the best at it. Because you can only affect this world if you're the best, because the world doesn't remember the losers. They only remember those that win and those that achieve things at the highest level.
Yep.
So that's what I want for them. I want to be that example to them. And hopefully, like, again, I'll be able to call you guys up, say, bro, we're going here on the jet. You know, let's go.
We're going to the LA Coliseum
to watch the Irish whoop on the Trojans.
Phone's always on, dude. Hey, no way I wouldn't answer that call. Look, man, I've said it 1,000 times. So we've done this quite a few times. You know, we've had a lot of speakers come in. You know, Talanoa, your boy. You know, we've had a lot of guys come in. We've said it a million times. We have never, ever, ever recaptured the feeling of that first night with Manti on our stage.
Thank you.
I feel it now. Feel it every time we're around you, brother. Said it once, said it a million times. You are the truth. You are that dude. Here's the deal. Manti's story in the past. It's incredible. It's what made the man. But, dude, your future is a million times brighter. Got to get a microphone in front of this man any stinking time you can. Because, dude, the world got to hear you.
Yes.
When it comes to being the best and impacting lives, I'm telling you, see a million videos, heard a million podcasts. Every time I see your content, brother, I am glued to it. So
thank you, brother.
Keep rocking and rolling, man. We love you to death.
Love you guys, man.
Appreciate you being here, man. This has been dope.
We'll rise to the top together, bro.
Yeah,
Amen, man.
We'll do it.
Cannot wait. Guys, this is Manti Te'o. We'll see you next time. See you tomorrow.
I need you to do something that you love and that you are going to do that's worth suffering the most for, because I want you to be the best at it. Because you can only affect this world if you're the best, because the world doesn't remember the losers. They only remember those that win and those that achieve things at the highest level.